You're listening to the Good Question Podcast with Richard Jacobs. Our goal is to make each of our guests exclaim, that's a good question. I don't know the answer. Because when that happens, it means you, the listener, may be inspired to learn more beyond the interview and to ask great questions yourself that lead to new insights. In this podcast, we cover historical and current anthropology, comparative religion, and history. Welcome, and let's get started.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Good Question Podcast. My guest today is Dane Johnson. He is the founder of CrohnsColitisLifestyle. He had a life-threatening battle with Crohn's/colitis. He reversed it using natural practice. He's a board-certified nutritionist and one of the most successful Crohn's/colitis coaches in the world. He's helped thousands find a unique way to fix their IBD, irritable bowel disease, while building a community of supporters, doctors, and healers. So welcome, Dane. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, man. And I just want to put it out there. Anyone who's dealing with health issues and you do need to find a little genius to get your life back. It's very difficult. I just want to hold space and hopefully give you some stuff you can take away today to get real results. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I know it's, you probably told it 1,000 times, but what happened to you? How did you know you had Crohn's or colitis or IBD, and what's your backstory?
Yeah. So when I was growing up 19 years old, I got my first symptoms, but no family history, no problems in the GI tract, just a normal kid from Virginia, eating what he wanted, loved sports, athletics, did all that. But at 19, I started having bowel movements with blood and mucus and then chronic diarrhea. And so, yeah, you're like, this is not normal. I mean, one day you're going, okay, did I have some beets or did I some chili pepper? What is this? But it kind of got worse and worse where I didn't feel like I couldn't not say anything. I needed to say something. So it kind of looked like a crime scene in the toilet. And then you start getting weakness. When you got the flu and you try to make a fist and you're just weak, you could tell you're zapped. There's no power inside of you. It's kind of like that, but it doesn't go away. It just gets worse. So I went from, got lucky being a little taller of a guy where I'm 6'1", 6'2", and I was about 190 pounds when I was healthy at 19, 20 years old. And then I was down to, at my worst, when I nearly died from complications from inflammatory bowel disease on my 27th birthday, I was 122 pounds. So that's kind of what it is. I mean, long story short, IBD is inflammatory bowel disease. That's chronic inflammation in the bowel. And they've got categories and then subcategories to define that inflammation. Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. And I was first diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, left-sided ulcerative colitis, but then it progressed. So I started realizing that disease is actually a subjective experience. And, Crohn, ulcerative colitis. Then I was diagnosed Crohn's disease. Then another doctor said, no, that's ulcerative colitis just with gastritis. So upper stomach, esophagus issues. And then the next doctor said, nope, that's widespread Crohn's. And one of the reasons they were going back and forth is the disease was progressing. And so that's one thing. If you're out there and you've been sick, just realize that a diagnosis is subjective. It can change based on lab work, inflammatory markers panel. And then what we do can influence that diagnosis. So on my 22nd birthday in 2014, I nearly died from complications from IBD. I was on a feeding tube. I was on antiviral chemotherapy that helped save my life. I was on antibiotics for years, steroids like prednisone. I was on 3 grams of Dilaudid, which is the strongest type of painkiller they can give you. It's basically legal heroin, makes you high as a kite. I was on that for about 5 weeks. I was in the hospital for 6 weeks straight where I nearly lost my life. And I finally was able to snap out of it from the chemotherapy. It turned out there was one of the viruses no one ever talked about. That was one of my beefs about this is when you're sick, no one looks at root infections. So no one found the cytomegalovirus that was so active taking over my body. When I went on the antiviral chemotherapy, which a doctor from Florida required of the urgent care doctor, if I was going to, they were going to save my life, that helped. I woke up, I was okay, not okay, but I was at least alive and conscious. And then I was housebound for a year and I used that chemo and all those drugs and slowly came off them for about 2 to 3 months until I was out of the bed and I could walk, just move from the kitchen to the bedroom type thing. And that was my journey. So I just, I'm here from pain to purpose. And when you go through that much pain, you've got to find genius. You've got to find intuition. You've got to find the ability to create. You've got to find the ability to keep yourself happy, like dancing in the rain. And one day I woke up and it had been about a year and my best friend was going to move to Australia, came to see me out in Southern California where I live. And I was okay. I was able to go out with him and go to a restaurant and have a meal that wasn't perfect and just spend time with them. And I finally felt healed because I could kind of be like myself again after being housebound for a year. And I just remember thinking, whatever I just tapped into to get to this point where some guy who got sick and didn't deserve it crawled his way out of chronic disease, almost dying trying, to actually getting his life back and defying what all the doctors were saying was possible, which it is, healing is possible. Natural recovery of the body is possible. That was the point. And I just said to myself, whatever I just tapped into is the exact same energy I need to tap into to create the life of my dreams. And so I realized right then and there that you can take the worst thing that ever happened to you and make it the best thing. And it becomes a superpower because no one else has that unique ability that you do. And so now we're here 10, 11 years later, and I have the most successful IBD consulting firm on the planet. And it's because I don't talk from people from an ivory tower. Me and my team, we're on the boat with you. Almost our entire team of coaches, and we do have trained practitioners who don't act as doctors, but are trained naturopath doctors, chiropractic, nurse practitioners. They all have IBD themselves. So that's kind of something that makes us super unique. So
what's, what have you found works? I know it's different for everybody, but what are some of the protocols that work, at least, somewhat for a lot of different people?
So there's a few things you've got to do that are going to help you get massive results. And number one is you've got to get consistent before you get perfect. When you start looking at the overwhelming and time-consuming and money-consuming idea of trying to get your body better with any type of disease, you try to look for the perfect hack. We call it MPS, Magic Protocol Syndrome. Okay, what's the supplement? What's the diet? And really your spirit's not ready to really sit with this and try it for months at a time. You're kind of thinking, I'm going to do this for 2 or 3 weeks, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to run out of spiritual energy to hold space for this. And that's what happened to me for about 3 or 4 years. I try a real specific diet, carnivore diet, or intermittent fasting, or prayer purpose, or making my own yogurts, or buying probiotics, or buying every supplement on the internet. And I wouldn't get the result, as quickly as I wanted. I'd give up on it. So you've got to get consistent. You've got to be able to rep something out and stay in balance with it. So I found that once I got okay mentally with, okay, you're not healthy, but you can still be happy. You can still live your life. And I started realizing how I could just stay in balance with restrictive eating, or I could stay in balance with trying things that may or may not work. So I got consistent before I got perfect. I got happy before I got healthy. And then I learned to customize. So something that really helped me that I think everyone should do listening to this call if you want to get yourself even healthier, or you just want to live longer, is you've got to journal your protocol and your results. So when I finally got results, I failed for 4 years to get any results, and I spent about $30,000 or $40,000. And I don't come from a rich family, and I was a kid at the time, so I didn't have any money. So my family spent that money, and I was more sick after the 30, 40 grand than before it. But when I actually healed, I didn't actually I spent hardly any, because I was completely self-accountable for everything I did. So when you have low resources, you got to be resourceful. And I learned to get resourceful. So I put a journal together, and I journaled everything I ate, what the symptoms were. So I built a symptom tracker. And then I also wrote down nights and notes, what happened at night, what time I went to bed. I weighed myself, and then I checked off if I did things that I felt I needed to consistently do to heal. So prayer, purpose, meditation, walking outside, 20 minutes of the sun, reading 20 to 30 minutes of a day of a book that's positive, solution oriented, and gives me more ideas of what I could do. Because when you're chronically stuck emotionally in that prison, if you don't have the constant drip of hope, you get overwhelmed and you quit and you blow up. So I needed the drip of hope. And that's why reading is so essential. And that's why podcasts are so essential. I need some takeaways. So today I hope I give everyone 2 or 3 takeaways that you're like, you know what, I can try that. And that gives me a little bit of that drip of hope. So
what are
some actual tangibles. So what can you do about it? So number one, stop drinking cold water, only drink hot water. And I would recommend the form of a tea every single morning. I think anyone who's sick should start with hot water tea every single morning. A tea,
hot or warm?
Either one. It's just body temperature or hotter, because that increases bioavailability of the water, further helping hydration. If you've got GI issues, if you have any autoimmune issue, you probably have absorption issues within the GI. If you have cellular dysfunction or any autoimmune, there's a GI component to it. Small intestine bacteria overgrowth, poor digestion, leaky gut, damaged gut lining from cytokine reactions. Big words to say your body can't absorb nutrients at a cellular level very well. So if I can get hot water and I can add electrolytes, or I can add bitters to enhance digestion, or I can add liver support to cleanse toxins. Anyone who's sick most likely is having a hard time releasing toxins. The more inflamed you are, the worse your liver works. The more inflamed you are, the worse your lymphatic system works. These are 2 avenues your body releases toxins. There's 5 in total. Write these down: liver, kidney, lymphatic, skin for sweat, and bowel movements for poop. Those are the 5 ways your body handles toxins. Toxins are in your air, food, and water. Think of microplastics, think of environmental toxins, think of glyphosate in your food, or emulsifiers in your ice cream. Okay? So all of these things destroy your body, they destroy the microbiome, and then your body can't get rid of these man-made chemicals. You need to drain them through those drainage pathways, the 5 we talked about, and you need to enhance the body. Well, if you start looking into that, you're going to realize there's about 1 million supplements in the world, and a way you can spend $1 million very easily on things that say they can help with this. So one of the most cost-effective, simple things you can do right now is make a morning tea that helps to hydrate, because hydration helps move the liver. It helps move toxins out of the cell. So adding in a little bit of electrolytes. I like a company called Body Bio E-Lite, E-Lyte. It's just potassium, calcium, magnesium, nothing else in it. It's super bioavailable. I love to put that in hot water, and it's just a cap full of that. And I love lemon juice, more electrolytes. It's alkalizing to the body, helps flush the liver a little bit, got some vitamin C, and enhances natural digestion. One of the problems with food sensitivity is you don't have strong digestion. It's been hurt by, again, chemicals and nervous system issues and microbiome issues. I don't know, it could be apple cider vinegar, okay? Enhances digestion, can kill off some, help with infections. It can help increase stomach acid. So that could be another one. Or adding in a little bit of mucosal healers, I call them, like slippery elm or marshmallow root or demulcent herbs that you can mix in hot water. The hot water helps to create a gel-like feature that coats the stomach. It coats the stomach and soothes the stomach. And if I'm just guessing, I don't have a statistic because we can't really quantify this in America right now, but how many people have leaky gut? I would say anyone who has IBS has leaky gut, and it's considered anywhere upwards of 15 to 20% of America has some form of IBS, leaky gut, SIBO. So if we have 350 million Americans, roughly 50, 100 million of us, I think are dealing with some form of leaky gut. And when you have leaky gut, you've got to get that, because that's the force field that protects the inside of your gut from the bloodstream. So that's big. So it's like, okay, Dane, this is great. Now I can go buy a $50, $60 supplement that could help. But if I just get free form, independent slippery elm or marshmallow root, these demulcent herbs, I can just mix a little bit in water, just like a little half teaspoon. And that will create a little bit of a gel-like feature. You know, it doesn't taste like candy, but it don't taste terrible. You know, put a little lemon juice in there, a little electrolytes, a little slippery elm, a little marshmallow root. Now I'm coating the stomach. I'm getting vitamin C. I'm increasing digestive bitters, and I'm helping to flush the liver. I can even add a little milk thistle, dandelion, or I can steep a little garlic. You know, garlic is anti-inflammatory, helps clear lung infections, helps kill with bacteria and candida overgrowth. You know, I could do so much. I could add a little bit of cat's claw, which is antiviral, helps kill off Epstein-Barr inside of megalovirus, helps kill flu, may help with COVID. You see what I'm saying? So the hot water can be a great avenue. Now you just need to find a dropper form of that herb. I like a company called Nutramedix. Check out Cemento, right? And then a lot of these droppers, they have a little ethanol in them. Some of us don't do well with a little alcohol for that absorption in a dropper supplement. But when you put it in hot water or you steep it, it can get rid of 50, 60, 70% of that alcohol can burn off. So all these little hacks, right? So like a real big takeaway is try journaling, you know, and I'll even give it to you. So anyone who wants to click the link below, I'm going to make sure that we have my free 60-day healing journal. It's completely free. Just click below, and you also can get a free IBD session if you want one or need one. But I just want to give you something that you can use today. That journal is something you can just fill out. It's the exact journal I filled out to help heal myself. That could just be like some of these checks, and maybe customize it to yourself out there, you know, check it off. Like, did I go for this run? Did I meditate? What time did I wake up? You know, where am I with my weight? And then you can skip forward 4 days and say, okay, this is the day I'm going to start my fast, or this is the day I'm going to do a bone broth thing, or this is the day I'm going to, start working on going ketosis. I mean, you can just make it whatever you want. So
what kind of protocols helped you? You know, did you do bone broth? Did you do fasting, ketosis?
Oh, I did fruitarian diet. I did fasting. I did bone broth fasting. I did kind of carnivore, not full carnivore, but pretty close for 74 days. I did bananas. So I did like a fruitarian diet as well. All of them have their merits. The generic diet that helped me the best was a low sugar diet in the beginning, focusing on meat that I cooked very specifically. So for me, I tell you, it's not about the diet. It's about the manner at which food is prepared. It's the cardinal rule of healing with food. So people want to argue about diet. Yes, that's important. But if you don't make the food bioavailable and reduce the chance of inflammatory response, I really don't care about the nutrient profile yet. That's what carnivore is saying about kale. Oh, kale's got all this nutrient profile. Yeah, but if it irritates my gut, who cares?
Right.
So what we have to do is you realize the cardinal rule is the manner in which food is prepared. So protocols that help me is I focus more on autoimmune protocol, which is very specific with any type of sugars. It eliminates what's called polysaccharides. It's higher in quality meats, and it's higher in food plants that specifically have antioxidants and polyphenols and fibers. These are big words for like, try to get a little color on your plate with some clean meat and a little avocado and salt and extra virgin olive oil, right? And so you could just change it. You go wild-caught salmon to lamb to steak to hamburger to chicken, and then you just get a little bit of color on your plate. You try to stay away from those dense polysaccharides, which are usually found in grains. That's a generic autoimmune paleolithic diet, right? So I felt, protocols that helped me is now I'm got a specific diet that I'm eating this way because it's bioavailable, because because my body can use it. It doesn't further irritate an inflamed colon. And then I'm also doing a lot around it. Like what's just as important of what you are doing is also what you're not doing. So part of your protocol should be, if you want to heal, is to stop snacking. Like tea is going to be a big one. I'll tell you right now, there is not one single thing that's good about snacking unless you have glucose issues.
So why? Does it just activate your digestive system more times than it needs to, or what's the reason?
Because your body has to use energy and time and to break that down. If you look at all the science, it's going to show you that actual fasting is one of the fastest ways to heal or get rid of cancer by going into autophagy. So the more you give yourself bowel rest, the more likely the gut can heal and the cells can use that energy to deal with cellular toxicity. The more it can help the liver. That's why the body naturally fasts at night. That's when we repair. Do you repair better at noon eating lunch, or do you repair better at 2 a.m. in a deep sleep in the parasympathetic?
So you don't want anything getting in the way of that.
Yes.
Just digestion.
Yes. And that was old school people. Food wasn't so abundant. They couldn't snack every once in a while, maybe. And then the winters, are you kidding me? How much could people eat for thousands of years in the dead of winter? They had to manage their food. So this
right, luckily they had enough calories to survive the winter.
That's it. So now we just look at what the world has always taught us and we go, how do I move this back into modern day to optimize my life, whether I'm dealing with disease or I want to increase longevity? My naturopath professor used to say, when you get more strategic about when you eat and how much you eat, your longevity goes up. All the research shows that. That's what people who talk about ketosis and intermittent fasting and even practicing 3 to 5 day water fast are screening, is that it's all the longevity research continues to show. So in the meantime, try to get rid of snacking. And when you eat very deliberately. So you can eat a lot when you eat, but try to get rid of that snacking unless you have specific health conditions that you need to do that. But now I can have tea. And a lot of times you're having low energy because your adrenals are messed up, you don't have mitochondria, and you're dehydrated. And even if you're drinking water, your water doesn't have electrolytes. And the electrolyte charge is what hydrates the cell, not the water. You need to be able to absorb the potassium, the calcium, the magnesium for proper cellular hydration. That's why I always put electrolytes in my water. So part of my protocol is, I was 122 pounds, the body's 70% water. I was dehydrated. My colon was so inflamed. The colon's what helps reabsorb the water to make a normal bowel movement. You got diarrhea, you're losing electrolytes in water. So we need to get way more electrolytes into our water. It's not just how much water we drink, it's how much good water with electrolytes, minerals. So that's a thing. Hot water, I increase bioavailability. I get in electrolytes. I add in things like lemon to have natural electrolytes. I add more salt to my food, natural electrolytes. Okay, and salt and that supplement and good water. And now I get rid of certain eating and I try to only eat specifically. And now my body has more energy. It has more space to properly clean out the colon and the bowels. And you got to remember that your bowels are 28 feet long. So there's a bunch of stuff right? It needs time to clean out and that vegan. So Bob, what I am is I've really been a detective of every famous diet. And I go, instead of getting emotionally charged about these diets, I say, what is it about this diet that makes them believe this work? And what is it about it that uniquely helps the body? So when I looked at vegans having higher amounts of fiber help to clean the bowels. Fiber is nature's binder. You can argue about oxalates and lectins, and you can even argue about how much fiber a person needs. But when I started using specific fruit and other specific plants that help to clean my bowels, I got a better result. That's when I infused paleo carnivore style eating, which was great for me, with some plant-based style eating, which also is great. And I customized both together to get my answer. Most of us want to live in gray. How can I get the best out of plants? How can I get best out of animal foods and put them together to optimize my health? And everyone in the longevity space is saying, yeah, it's both. Like even if you talk to the biggest, baddest carnivore guys, they're going to say, do it on periodically. Dr. Pompa, my boy Benazati, he's going to say like carnivore's great. It is great. It's awesome. Ketosis is great, but it's great for a short period of time before you need carbohydrates. Dave Asprey will tell you the same thing. So you've got to go, look, if you want extremes, they're really best in temporary modes until you go back to the middle. So that's what really helped me with protocols is I did mess with more polarizing strategies for short-term time. And I used that to get me over a hump, but then found more maintenance in the middle. So that's plant. Those are some great takeaways right there. And then you always got to work the nervous system. The 3 big generalized strategies you need to hit to heal, you've got to attack pathogens. Okay. The 5 pathogens you're looking at: mold, candida, viral, bacteria, and parasitic. And I found all 5 of those dealing with life-threatening Crohn's. The more sick you are, the more likely you have 3, 4 of them. maybe 5. Because the more sick, the more you become a host for toxins and pathogens. The second is toxins, right?
What about what about fermented food? How much of that can this? How much of them can they ameliorate this stuff?
Fermented foods are fantastic, but a lot of us can't handle them because of the dysbiosis. So when you have proliferating bacteria and basically a microbiome that's kind of screwed up, then your body just has a reaction. It's kind of like doing jump rope with a bad knee. You need to fix the knee first. With fermented foods, you just got to watch out for histamine reactions, and you got to watch out for SIBO and like metabolic endotoxemia. If you have these kind of things going on, then you're going to get like headaches, you're going to get skin reactions, or get itchy with fermented foods, you get really bad diarrhea. That's happening. It's not that you can't handle it, you're allergic to it. It's just that your body is not ready for it. So you've got to fix some of the root issues before you add in some of those fermented foods. Like with kefir, like milk-based fermented foods that are really the highest CFU, colony forming unit, you've got to be careful because when you have bacterial overgrowth and fungal overgrowth, they are so aggressive in the upper GI, your body's going to freak. That's the biggest problem. People go, oh, I had raw milk or I had raw kefir or I had this coconut kefir and it messed me up. Yeah, you're not ready. There's stages to therapies. It's like someone saying, I'm going to go squat 300 pounds and I'm 2 weeks into my training.
So what would be an easy food, like very well tolerated, like bone broth? Would that be an easy one?
Yeah, but bone broth also can be high in histamine and high in certain fats. So like bone broth, what worked for me, I found as I kept messing with it, is I'd make the bone broth and then I'd freeze it or put it in the refrigerator and all the fat would go to the top and kind of freeze on top. I'd remove all the fat and then I'd only sip on the broth. So what it did is because I couldn't break down fat, see your liver makes fats, or your liver makes bile and bile breaks down fat. So if you have a backed up liver, you're going to have stagnant bile and you're not going to break down if your fat soluble is 80 kE.
What if it tastes like ox bile to break it up?
That's a good idea. Yes. So you can take ox bile. I would take some, pancreatic enzymes and ox bile together, and also just limit where you get your fats. Like the easiest fats for your body to break down when you're injured is going to be raw fats like extra virgin olive oil, cod liver oil, MCT oil. Those are going to be the easiest fats you want to focus on in the beginning. And then you go to more cooked fats. So that's just...
So what are some of the foods that are like really well tolerated, like step 1 type foods?
Usually it's going to be foods that are moderate to low fat and really easy to break down and no skin. So white fish, lean meats that are grounded. So if it's already properly or already broken down in digestion, you don't have to cook it with higher temperatures. It's going to be easier. So that means like ground chicken is going to be easier than a rotisserie chicken with skin. Make sense? So they're both chicken. So we're getting past this idea of chicken being good or bad and understanding the context of which it's prepared. So that's going to be an example. Another one like white fish. Another one's going to be, and if I take this with a grain of salt, because someone here might have a unique issue where they go, I can't handle that. Everything Dane says is negated. No, for you, I customize everyone plan. So please understand we're being generic here, and I believe in full customization for everyone. So I might say like, okay, what's a food that's raw? Raw foods have their natural enzymes involved, but it also not high in, insoluble fiber and just easy to break down. Something I could give to a 12-month-old baby. A good takeaway is, what could I give to a 12-month-old baby that has no seeds, no skins, and I can squish it, and so that makes it easy to eat. So no seeds, no skins, can I squish it? So an avocado, but can you handle fats? Can you handle a little histamine, right? So that could be, or banana, right? Banana, whenever you peel something like a fruit, it has potential less toxins, like less glyphosate, because it gets sprayed topically. Yes, they're still in the of the food, but a banana has no seeds, no skins, and it's 100 calories, and it helps to form up bowel movements, and it's also high in potassium. So, okay, there's a lot of benefit there. Like a raspberry, it's got higher fiber, so it's really high in polyphenols, really good for you, but if you've got an irritated gut, or you've got a ton of diarrhea, raspberry is not going to be best to start with in the beginning, and it's also got seeds in it. You see how I'm breaking down what's good? It's like I want to teach you how to fish, not just give you a fish.
How do you think Crohn's and colitis starts? Like in you, how did you think it started? Why did it start?
Great question, man. Here are my theories. 13 months before I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, I was wearing Invisalign every single day. I was wearing microplastic teeth straightener that I was chewing on and swallowing, and it was moving my teeth, opening my gums, microplastics on a daily basis. Research has shown, I think a few different research articles have come out showing that people with IBD have an increase of 50% more microplastics than the average person in their body, in their gut. So I think microplastics. I think too, I was a really big guy into like weightlifting and stuff. So I was living on whey protein from GNC, General Narcotics Center. And it was just killing my gut. And I was getting back acne. That's a sign you got leaky gut. That's a sign you've probably got fungal overgrowth. Your body's screaming at you if you're getting that chest acne and back acne. That's what I was getting before I got sick. And so you got to do the work. You got to be careful. So another one, just a little side hack, bone broth, unsweetened bone broth protein. Check out this product, Pure Paleo. My team team gets huge discounts on it. It's kind of expensive. We get like 25, 30% off on this stuff for our members, but pure paleo, unsweetened, bone broth protein is the best protein for weightlifting or athletes. You can find like Paleo Valley has a version, Just Ingredients has a great version. Noble, if you got the money for it, Noble is so awesome. By my man, Brett Ender from the Carnivore Podcast. NOBLE is organ meats plus a bone broth protein, so absorbable, so clean, such a great product. So yeah, you want like a good hydrolyzed beef protein, I think is the best. But those are some examples of that. So like fruits are monosaccharides, they're easy to break down, they help clean up the colon, they're high in water, no seeds, no skins. Meats can be really helpful, they're high in protein, they're gluten-free, dairy-free, they have lots of calories without the polysaccharides. Those are complex carbohydrates. So if you read the famous diets, a lot of them are going to tell you to stay away from complex carbs, polysaccharides, like Against All Grain. Daniel Walker's going to say that. You're going to hear it in SED diet from Elaine Godshaw. You're going to hear it in the Paleolithic style, carnivore style. So grains seem to be really the hardest on people with a really injured gut. And a lot of people are getting rid of those carbs. And when they say carbs, they're really saying like grains, right? Seeds, nuts, grains, breads. And so that's where you just got to be a little bit more careful. If you're a vegan, you can absolutely do it. You just got to be strategic. You got to know what you're doing. So you want to lower lectins and oxalates and plant, foods that have natural plant defenses. So that's like a good, like real crash course. And, for me, protocols, I did, enemas were really helpful for me. So going directly to the colon because I had a really inflamed colon. So side note, when your colon's really inflamed, it's putrid. It can't release toxins. So it's like a cesspool. It's like a sewage pool that can't flush. That thing needs to be opened up to the river, right? You got to flush it. So you got to find it to flush the colon, especially if you're constipated. And same with the small intestine. I find almost everyone with IBD is just backed up. Also, Clyde's Crohn's, you might be...
If they need like multiple enemas to get all the stuff out?
Well, it helps. You got to be strategic. Don't do anything dumb. It's not medical advice. People can hurt themselves if they don't know what they're doing. But like, if I throw in distilled water with a little slipperum and marshmallow, emulsion herbs that help calm down inflammation, maybe I can use a little curcumin as an anti-inflammatory that doesn't absorb into the body and coats the colon. That could really help that sigmoid colon release some of those toxins and also heal overnight over time. And it might be also helpful to do like suppositories with natural or even use mesalamine, conventional 5-ASA stomach coated from the doctors. They're going to prescribe suppositories and enemas. There's a reason doctors do that. And, having foods that flush it. Something that really changed the game for me, I'll give you this right now, that's a good use of time, is I built something called the Whole Food Elemental Shake. And it was about getting foods that really made a lot of sense and pureeing them together into a smoothie that I would drink. And then I kept customizing that to get stronger and stronger the healthier my gut got. So it could like just really re-empower my microbiome and clean my gut at the same time. So examples like fruits, you could use banana or wild blueberry, and you could use this demulcent herbs, slippery elm, marshmallow, a lot of stuff we talked about. You could use collagen or glutamine can help heal up the gut lining if you've got really bad diarrhea. You could use that bone broth protein we talked about, a really clean protein that's no sweeteners, no flavors, just unsweet straight in there. Let the fruit, flavor it up, right? Maybe add a little bit of dates because they're really high in calories. They're, yes, high in sugar, but they actually don't spike your glucose as much as you think when you look at the research. Read Glucose Revolution by the woman, I can't remember her name, but that's a great book that's going to teach you on that. So you add in some monosaccharide fruits, add in some emulsion herbs, add in some protein, and then you can add in very strategic fibers. Like people are like, oh, I'm going to add fiber. Let's add a salad. No, add specific supplemental fibers that you can microdose and then strategically use for an injured gut, like acacia fiber, is a good example of that. And, 1 teaspoon of acacia fiber is 2 grams of fiber, but it's so delicate, so light, doesn't injure the gut. And it's a soluble fiber that helps to reduce bloating and gas. So it helps with fermentation in the gut. So that's what I'm saying. There's all this stuff, guys. This is like 12 years of trial and error and spending $1 zillion and not working and working with thousands of clients that you start learning it's a chess match. And the way you get healed is just to start getting trained, getting empowered, and get around a community and a training center that really has integrity and is really doing this, not just talking about it. And just don't realize you're not looking for the answer, you're building your answer. So cherry pick, write notes, build your answer, learn from others. And it's going to take time. Some of you are going to get great results quickly, but it takes time. So, and one thing I really want to say that really drives that in. Right now, if me and you started talking about longevity, you're interested in longevity, right? You want more energy, right? You want to have a natural six-pack, and right, all of us do. You're curious about optimizing your life so that you can be you 2.0 right now, right? Everyone wants upgrades. Everything you do to heal disease upgrades every single person. So when you learn these upgrades, it's like a sick person feels like they're being left behind. But when you learn natural healing and you learn to naturally heal, you're kind of like an Energizer bunny on turbo speed. And you start blasting through normal people who've never actually been sick. Like, I don't need a cup of coffee. I don't need caffeine. I don't drink or need alcohol. I'm perfectly balanced eating a very clean diet from the earth. I don't need to snack. I'm perfectly fine going to bed on time, and I can wake up early with tons of energy. I focus on adrenal support and stuff for energy. So all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, if I can keep this up for 30 or 40 years, I'm going to be killing it at 60. I'm going to be killing it at 70. So you start realizing that living your best life and healing are the exact same thing.
Well, that's really good. How long does it take for people to heal at least halfway or to become functional again? I know everybody's different, but all right.
Everyone's different. Here's a generic answer to that. I've seen people get results within a matter of 10 to 14 days, life-changing, unbelievable results. It happens probably, 15, 20% of the time. So it's not totally uncommon, but it's not every time. And, but I would say for you to really learn this and really heal, you want to give yourself a year. So
Wow.
I think that people, because you could be feeling a lot better, but you haven't dealt with the mold. You could be feeling a lot better, but your liver's still functioning at 50%. You could be feeling better, but you're still low on magnesium and your RBC mag's low and your white blood cell's still high and your inflammatory markers.
Yeah, because this stuff's been starving you and kicking your ass for a long time.
Or like, do you know how many normal people that if I just ran their lab work, I'd find like 10 red flags? I call them normal, meaning I've never been diagnosed with something. I have no reason to go to the doctor. I wake up and I feel fine. People don't want to look because they don't want the trauma. So when you,
I know that feeling.
right? And so when you have to look, you've got an advantage because you're like, I'm cool looking. I'm optimizing my health. I'm not just blind to it. That's the thing. This can be the best thing ever happened to you. That's what I mean when I say that. So you just got to say, like, what does it mean to heal? Well, there's a lot of layers to that. At 3 or 4 or 6 months later, if you're feeling 70% better, awesome. And you've got this power for the rest of your life, and really maybe you're 70%. How much of that is trauma? Like if you're 70% and 100% is really what's going on deep down is I'm walking on water. Lots of people don't realize, like, oh, what's your energy? An 8 out of 10. Well, what's a 10 out of 10? What are you like, Turbo Man? You won't give yourself a 10 out of 10 because you're not walking on water?
One thing I've thought of is, there's 7 days a week. If you feel good, I would guess that most people feel good maybe, 1, 2 days a week. They're doing well. There's times where I was like on keto and I felt great, like 5, 6 days a week. I felt like I had so much energy and stuff. I was thinking so clearly. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was like overwhelming. So I guess within feeling good, there's many, many different levels.
Yeah, exactly. There's levels. So I think a big thought right now with everyone is just get in the game and don't try to be perfect. And whatever you feel right now, the more you practice, you won't feel it as much. It'll get more exciting. It'll be easier to do. And there's always something you can change. Like right now, I've got ideas of what I want to change and what I want to try. And because I'm curious and this is my passion and this is what I do for a living, right? So you just want to get in the game and start questioning your habits, questioning your addictions, questioning truths that you thought were real or not, and just have open debates about it and be open to trying. I think just me, I've been 80% plant-based eating. I've been 80% meat-based eating, and I've done all sorts of things in the middle. And I'm always open, right? I'm always open to learning and trying and saying, maybe I'll give it another shot, just want to see. And you're building a system that's going to empower you and it's going to empower your family. Like my mom called me today and she goes, I'm not feeling good. She's in her late 70s or 60s. And hey, I tore this, my ankle hurt. And I immediately called up a company I know who does exosomes. And I'm like, hey, can we get a doctor out there to give my mom exosomes? And, maybe we'll look at some peptides. And I'm sending her a sauna bag to start sweating those toxins because I know she's got heavy metals because she had amalgam fillings for 40 years. You see, it's like, I can help my mom.
Right. That's really cool.
Isn't that,
help other people you love.
Yeah. So paying to purpose, right, guys? Like, who do we want to go through this? Give it to us. Let's serve our family. Let's figure this out, not just for us, but for everyone we love. And you don't have to get enrolled in some crazy diet or enrolled in spending $1,000 a month on supplements. Do what makes sense to you. And don't buy a thing or do a thing unless it makes sense to you. You go see a naturopath doctor. If you can't give me 2 to 3 sentences on what you're taking and why you're doing it, don't do it. We don't need to do this thing blind anymore. The problem is we're just not taking accountability. We're not owning it. But what's better to own than your health? We can't outsource our health. So if you want to hire a coach or work with someone, yes, do it. But literally come with pen and paper, write down what are we doing and why, and what's the strategy we're building. So,
well, I think you just summed it up. You can't outsource your health. And I think that's what most people do. I understand why. You don't want to deal with stuff. You don't want to have to be like, I was told I had thyroid cancer years ago and I had to deal with all that. You don't want to deal with all this. You don't want to have to go for special doctor visits. You don't want to be told you have IBD and now you're going to do this protocol and you're going to heal yourself. And it's a lot. So I understand, but people do it. Yeah. Because again, they just don't want to face it, I guess. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work to help yourself.
And so what in life, and it's a good place to end it, what in life is worth having that ain't worth fighting for and is hard?
I agree with you.
Right? It's like, what in life? It's like, oh yeah, it's hard to be married. Yep. That's why it's so special. Oh, yep. That's why they're so special. Oh, it's hard to be healthy. Yep. That's why it's so special. I mean, we're in a modern day where we've never had more of a say of being able to live to 90 or 100 and not be injured or not be on medications and not have knee problems and actually be able to move and run and be in joy. Never has there been a point in the earth that it was more plausible than right now for that to happen. So get off the defense. Don't do that out of fear. Do it out of desire. Where do you want to be in the next 10 to 20 years? Build that lifestyle.
Okay, great way to put it. So now for resources, anyone suffering, anyone know anyone suffering that's listening, what are their first steps with you?
First steps is, check us out. Sniff around. Make sure there's integrity and trust. Whoever you need to work with, there needs to be integrity and trust. I'm just on a mission to help. I just want to build what I needed and my parents needed when I was a kid and sick. And I've just been on a mission for that for 10 or 12 years. It's not easy. It's really, really hard to do this, like help sick people. So build that integrity and trust. With us, we hold space for an hour-long free session. What's your game plan? What's your experience? What's been happening? Let's talk it out. Let's see if we think this is a good fit. If it's a good fit, we'll talk about how we can move forward, how we can help you. And make sure you shout out, this podcast and let us know because we want to, pay homage to that. And, but yeah, let's hold, you'll get a free session. I'll put a link below also where they can schedule their free session. No gimmicks, no tricks, you're just going to meet with one of our team members and say what's up, talk about what's been going on and talk about a good plan and see if we can help.
And I'm sure if anyone's sick, there's no need to remind them of, I've had stomach pain before. From what I've heard, Crohn's colitis is awful. So I'm sure that people will be plenty motivated by how they're feeling to get the help from you. That's very gracious of you to offer.
Yeah, well, that's the scary thing about it because trying to sell something into people's health is kind of like oil and water. So I just think that when you're dealing with such a severe problem for people in need, you really need to just come with a level of transparency and authenticity because it's really hard. I mean, just like, I'm going to deal with someone who's chronically sick and I'm immediately fighting uphill as in it, right? So it's just when you're sick, you just, think on it, pray on it, research, and just have great open conversations and get on the phone and look for your team. Realize healing is not linear. It's not a straight line. And what do you need for long-term success? You need community. You need custom coaching. Now, all of our members get a one-on-one coach who privately helps them and privately helps to customize their plan. You need ongoing support. You need to be able to talk with other members who are in the same boat with you. So everyone in our community has IBD and they can all talk to each other. So when you join our program, literally that day, you can talk to 1,500 people in our program who have IBD. And
That's great.
We're all on our own private encrypted software. It's an app on your phone and a desktop on your computer. So you got your coach, you got your community.
Yeah, it's not just the helpless community where they just live with it, they do like it and such stuff. It's totally different. There's a lot of them online are like that, by the way.
Exactly. That's why I hate it because on Facebook groups, it was just like one big sob story of it. It was so ours, we've got people in there who are in clinical remission. The doctors can't even find IBD anymore. And it's not uncommon. Like we have
a lot of groups, they won't let you post certain things too. They won't let you post that kind of stuff. So I see why it's encrypted and
just on Facebook, dude. Because it's exactly. I've bought $15,000 programs where I couldn't meet anyone else in the program. I'm like, what kind of integrity is this? Like, if this really works, why can't I talk to anyone else in your program? Right? And so I'll read you. Yeah. I'm actually in the program right now. I just want to read this to you right now. So just shout out Amanda. She goes, yippee, 6 years in remission. I'm shouting it out from the rooftops. Thank you, Coach Thomas, who's Dr. K, and CCL for this toolbox. I just had my 3-year colonoscopy follow-up. Last time they found 1 polyp, but today, no inflammation, no polyps, and I'm praising the Lord. She's Christian. Now that I'm in my 40s, my health journey has shifted towards hormone balance, but I'm staying the course, trusting the process, and believing that every step brings its own reward. Happy healing to all you working hard on this path. Keep moving forward. You're not alone. She posted that 1 day ago. 6 years remission, perfect colonoscopy. And this is what I just want to give everyone for power. Like this, take this when you're climbing the hill of health. What good is a diagnosis, a stamp on your forehead that you're a sick person for life? What good is a diagnosis when they no longer can diagnose it? If they hadn't have seen Amanda's chart and they did the colonoscopy, they would have said, this person doesn't have IBD. This is a normal, healthy person. The only reason that doctor could even talk to her about IBD is because of a past doctor's chart. Is a diagnosis if you can no longer diagnose it. That's the goal.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Dane, for all that you do and for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, brother.
Thanks. All the hope and the positivity around it, not just say, sitting here, take this drug and that's the end of you.
And it's not easy. We got to go hill. But yeah, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for holding space for this and helping spread the word. And, it's important. And so, yeah, thanks for the hard work is for you as well. And God bless everyone and happy healing.
All right.
If you like this podcast, please click the link in the description to subscribe and review us on iTunes.
Thank you for listening to the Good Question Podcast. Please email support@thegoodquestionpodcast.com if you have any referrals to great guests for us to interview. Visit thegoodquestionpodcast.com to hear more interviews. And please help us spread the word by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to this podcast.